Welcome everyone to this workshop session. Today we are here to discuss how to integrate the finance perspective into energy efficiency projects. And for that, we have come together 5 sister projects that are financed by the Horizon 2020 program. The projects are Invest, AAA, Quest, Launch, and CTC. And we will have some brief discussions to introductions to get to know the focus and the scope and the results expected from these projects. And later on, we will open a discussion panel where we will tackle some common issues that all these projects have encountered and how they are struggling or how they have managed to find solutions for these problematics, or also how there are things in common and possible collaborations, and it's also a way to find out the links and how these different solutions can be complementary to each other. So, as I was saying, the structure will be just some brief presentations by each of these projects. For that, I will be, if okay by the speakers, I will be telling you the time that you have remaining. So when we have 5 minutes, I will maybe show you this, or if not, I can just tell you so. But the idea is to have presentations between 5 and maximum 10 minutes. Okay? So this is the agenda for today. And without further ado, I think we can jump right into it. So the first project will be presented by Christian Poza. Christian is a researcher at URAC Research. He's also working as the coordinator of the Invest project, and his expertise is in building energy systems integration, also interaction with users and building developers, and in positive energy buildings. So, Christian, the floor is yours.
Yeah, do we share the presentation, or can you
Yes,
share?
I have it
Okay.
here.
Okay, great. Yeah, so Invest, maybe a slide is missing, but anyway, the goals for Invest is the main goal is to facilitate investors approaching energy efficiency project. And the main results for this project are a technical risk evaluation platform framework, including risk mitigation, then financial risk evaluation framework, which we described yesterday in the paper session, an evaluation on non-energy benefits, which is still ongoing under development, a project quality self-assessment tool, a search and match web platform where investors can find information, financial information and indexes about energy efficiency investment project, for investment, and then the proof of concept. Here you can see the framework from the financial point of view. So at this point, the technical information are already input into the platform, into the web platform. Then energy gap, the probability distribution of energy gap and damage are already computed here and input into the financial model. Then together with the gas price, the electricity prices, and climate conditions, then based on Monte Carlo simulations, we can get the financial KPIs for the investment. And so next slide, please. Here you can find an example, for example, of what the Invest platform can show. A lot of indexes so that the investor can decide what to put into their portfolio, and mainly financial indexes. Next slide. They get a report through this platform, which also includes information on multiple benefits. And then this report is validated by a blockchain mechanism, which means that anyone would try to change the information, make it immediately not valid. Next slide, please. We have two pilots on which we could test, and we are still testing the methodologies. One is in Italy, one in Spain, and they both undergo to deep energy renovation. And they are the Italian pilot is in the range of above 1 million euro investment, and the other is smaller, around 250 kilo euro. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the Spanish one, and then next slide. Okay, the key takeaways from our project and output that we can provide are probability distribution of damage and energy gap from the technical side, and then information on revenues, payback, time, net present value, IRR, and the SCR that are indexes that provide how the project can be paid. And then we provide a recommendation to the investors through the platform, information on non-energy benefits which come with the investment on the specific project. Again, this is a self-assessment tool for increasing the project quality when uploading them into the platform, and then support to technical financial due diligence. Next slide, please. So, thank you.
Sorry, working with two screens, I lose some time. Thank you very much, Christian. That was a very brief presentation, and that is appreciated. So we will have more time for the discussion panel. So next in the agenda, we have the presentation for the project. Just a second. We have the presentation for the project AAA. And today we have Philippos Dimitrios Mexis presenting that project. He is an environmental engineer with a master's degree in energy production management, and he works as a research associate at the National Technical University of Athens. He is an expert in state-of-the-art methods of problem solving via scientific programming and data analysis, like machine learning, neural networks, and classification algorithms. So, Philip, the floor is yours.
Can you hear me, first
I
of all?
will I will be moving the slides. Just a second.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, hello to all. I'm Philippos Mexis. I'm very glad to participate in the workshop and in the Sustainable Places Conference and also represent the AAA project. We can move to the next slide.
I think we lost you for a second.
We can move to the next slide. I was just
Yes.
introducing
So
myself.
your video and audio was frozen for a moment, but now we got you back.
Okay. I was just introducing myself. I said that I'm very glad to participate in the conference and represent the AAA project. And we can move to the next slide. Okay, so the AAA project, the full name is Enhancing at an Early Stage, AAA Enhancing at an Early Stage the Investment Value Chain of Energy Efficiency Project, has received funding from the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Program. And its main objectives is to mainstream energy efficiency investments by setting the ground for building investors and financiers' confidence, providing tools, the AAA standardized tools, databases, and benchmarks in order to assess energy efficiency investments and ensure the provision of recommendation based on lessons learned from in-country demonstrations from the countries that are covered from the AAA project. So the project it's okay. The project is been organized in three main pillars. The three pillars are the assess, the agree, and the assign pillar. Within the assess pillar, which is the first step of the AAA methodology, the goal is to establish a rating system in order to foster energy efficiency investments at an early stage by assessing member state risk profiles and mitigation policies, enabling national and sectoral comparability, market maturity identification, good practices experience exchange, all that in order to reduce the uncertainty for investors. Then we have the second step of the methodology, the agree step, the agree pillar, which includes the tools and the databases that are being developed within the AAA project activities, such as the AAA database on energy efficiency financing and the standardized AAA tools. Also, effective, efficient benchmarks are being provided and guidelines for these tools translated in all consortium partners' languages in order to accelerate and scale up energy efficiency investments. And finally, the last step is the assign pillar, which focuses on in-country demonstrations, replicability, and overall exploitation of the project results, including recommendations on realistic and feasible investments in the national and sectoral context, as well as on short and medium-term financing, funding strategies, and portfolio of energy efficiency projects that better match with the beneficiary needs. So we can move to the next slide. The AAA case study countries have been strategically selected so as to promote diversity across a number of factors and thereby enhance the results of the project. The countries that are covered by the AAA project are Bulgaria, Czech Republic, Germany, Greece, Italy, Lithuania, Spain, and the Netherlands. Within these countries, big European banks cooperate with the AAA project and they're parts of the consortium, research institutes and investment houses, energy efficiency engineering and consulting companies and experts. Within the AAA, within the activities of the AAA projects, a consultation process has been realized so as to engage national stakeholders in which 723 stakeholders have been identified, with the 72 of them have been actively engaged. We have received 198 responses from 4 questionnaires that have been composed for the AAA project needs. And also we have proceeded to 65 bilateral meetings with 74 participants in total. Um, Also, we have successfully organized 9 capacity building webinars, which are focused on the AAA tools, the EU taxonomy compliance, and the links to energy efficiency, and also energy efficiency risks and mitigation strategies. Within the next steps, 8 regional training workshops and webinars in each case study country is expected to be held now soon in autumn. In total, 113 energy efficiency investment proposals have been identified and assessed through the AAA tools, while a synthesis paper for each case study country with targeted recommendations on policy framework and market architecture is going to be composed. We can move to the next slide. So the AAA standardized tools are the key elements to pave the way for identifying and financing AAA investments and also materialize the AAA approach that I have just presented. There are 3 tools, such as the 3 pillars of the AAA project: the assess tool, the agree tool, and the assign tool. The first tool is the assess, in which project ideas are checked for the EU taxonomy guidelines compliance, and they are evaluated according to their perceived risk profile and factors. The risk assessment is not performed only from the creditability point of view, but also it considers all the investment characteristics. A wide variety of sectors and measures are covered, including buildings, manufacturing, transportation, district energy networks, and outdoor lighting. Within this tool, a pipeline of more than 113 energy efficiency investments has already been assessed. And then we pass to the second tool, the agree tool, in which the agree tool benchmarks the energy efficiency project ideas and calculates their predicted performance, taking into account various existing or new key performance indicators, including financial indicators, which are very important for investors, such as the net present value, the internal rate of return, the avoidance cost, and the discounted payback period. And also, the risk assessment results from the previous tool are combined within the agree tool. And also, sustainability indicators based on the Sustainable Development Goals criteria are being applied, all of them to identify the potential AAA investments, the very good energy efficiency investments from the pipeline that emerges from the previous tools. It is anticipated that 50 to 80 AAA investments will be derived from the agree tool. And then finally, we have the assign tool, which it's more like a multidimensional platform that aims to match the benchmark projects from the other tools with financing institutions such as funds, investors, banks that are looking to invest in green energy efficiency projects, and they are interested to create a green portfolio. The tool provides a pool of AAA projects and a parameterized investing portfolio to financing bodies. The AAA Assign tool supports all innovative green financing schemes, such as the green loans and mortgages, the green bonds, as well as the state-of-the-art financing scheme of the energy efficiency auctions. This tool is expected to elaborate 50 project phases that will emerge from its processes. We can move to the next slide. And also, within the activities of the AAA project, we have created the AAA database on energy efficiency financing, which incorporates data and functionalities that enable the effective and interactive communication of the AAA methodology's results on the fundamental aspects of energy efficiency financing to the key involved actors, such as project developers, investors, and financiers. In that regard, it contributes significantly to upscaling energy efficiency investments, making them more attractive to capital providers, while providing a better understanding of their framework to those that looking for capital to implement their projects. In particular, the current version of the AAA web-based database reports data regarding the implementation risks of energy efficiency projects and risk mitigation strategies, the preferences of investors on energy efficiency investments, the financial performance of successfully implemented energy efficiency projects, financing models and instruments, and the necessity of boosting energy efficiency per case country and sector based on Sustainable Development Goal criteria. The data that are reported in the AAA database refer to the 8 AAA case study countries, while the content is being updated on a regular basis. I would also like to mention that the AAA database on energy efficiency financing has emerged from a bottom-up procedure incorporating data from stakeholder consultation that has been realized within the project activities. And we can move to the last slide. I would like to thank you very much for your attention. I'm more than happy to receive your questions and to initiate the discussion in the next section of the workshop. If you're interested in the AAA project, you can visit our website or follow us in our social media accounts that are presented on the screen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philippos. Then we will move on. The next presentation is for the Quest project. It will be introduced by Sergio Olivero. He is a business and finance innovation manager at the Energy Center of the Politecnico di Torino. And he is also part of the Links Foundation, which is a spin-off of the Politecnico di Torino and the Fondazione Compagnia di San Paolo. His expertise is that he has been a manager with experience at the national and international level with focus on energy communities, building retrofit, innovative business models for energy-driven urban regeneration, strategic planning, action plans against energy poverty. So, Sergio, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tatiana. I will make my presentation about the Quest project. The topic is quality management with the objective of tracking and supporting the European Green Deal. We have to be aware that Europe is going to invest billions into the sustainability of buildings for the sake of urban regeneration, also as a result of the policies following the COVID pandemic. So we need to make sure that these investments pay off, and quality management plays a major role in this process. Next slide, please. There might be, okay. It is the slide before.
Yes, sorry. I think when transforming into PDF, we lost the slide, and that is what we have the blank page. So sorry,
okay.
I cannot show it right now.
Okay, because it was probably the most important slide. Anyway, I will try to explain.
You can present it yourself if you have it.
Well, but the concept is that on the vertical axis we have the CO2 emissions, and on the horizontal axis we have time. The goal by the European Commission is to reduce CO2 emissions, and this can be done by actively acting on the built environment, typically with greater efficiency, and obviously we must be sure that our estimation and simulations are of good quality, because today typically we have a 10 to 20% margin of mistake. That means that if we do not succeed in using quality management, we run the risk of not being able to get the objectives stated by the European Commission in an innovation way. We have to be aware that this is a one-shot challenge, because until 2050, we will retrofit just a building once. There's not a second chance. So quality management on achieve performance is essential. Next slide. This is just to say that the Quest project is a part of the Horizon 2020 family. Next slide. And the mission of Quest is to build quality management systems to be included in the early budget planning of any building measure. Trusted evidence of its added value is needed. And Italy today is also behaving like a living national lab, because there's a lot of money available for building retrofitting, especially for residential building, and the quality management is also aware to be sure that money is spent in a correct way. Quest is therefore creating a methodology to evaluate the impact of quality management services on the market value of buildings. Next slide, please. The Quest methodology is over the entire life cycle. So we start from post-project evaluation with reference to new construction and retrofit, including interview on technical and financial performance and on tenant satisfaction, database analysis of technical building services, review of panel data, and review of quality management services contract and reporting. Especially in Italy, retrofitting is playing a major role thanks to the bonuses and incentivation schemes. Then Quest enables statistical aggregation, and the application of data is oriented to reducing risk premium in our building project. Next slide. As I told you, due to strong fiscal bonuses and incentives, building retrofitting is booming in Italy. That's why today Italy represents for Quest a very important area. There are several game changers today that are linked to emission trading, but and notably making thermal loads electric, that is changing the way buildings are retrofitted and thus making more efficient. Fiscal incentives, as I told you, technology, economies of scale, and rules. The clean energy package by the European Commission plays a major role with reference to renewable energy communities. It is RED II directive that talks about RECs, and also citizen energy communities as a result of the adoption of 944 directives. So Quest is now at the present cooperating with a project and initiative that is retrofitting 100 residential multifamily buildings. These are especially mainly buildings from 50 to 70 flats. So each building is roughly worth 1 million euros. So we are talking about an initiative that is worth 100 million euros by 2023. And also the Italian national promotion team is being created, and and it will be gathered strongly linked with Atenes, that is a non-profit association that is oriented to diffusing and spreading new best practices. Next slide. Obviously, we are interested in making you know Quest methodology and results. Obviously, we are ready to work with any interested stakeholder in checking, testing, and evaluating the way we are implementing quality management services. The next slide. Here you have for each country the contact persons, and obviously we would be really glad to receive requests and questions, because quality management is going to become one of the key catalysts of the renovation wave in Europe. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Sergio. After the conference ends, I understand the presentations will be available at the website of Sustainable Places, so all this information will be uploaded in the website. Next, we have the presentation of the project launch, and today is introducing this project Chava De Chiqui. He is the chairman and senior managing partner at EnerSafe Capital, and he is a seasoned investment banker with a focus on the energy transition and sustainable energy assets. He is the founder and managing partner of Luxembourg and London-based regulated structures with a focus on energy efficiency solutions and renewable energy generation. So, Chava, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tatiana. Thank you, everybody. I hope it's nice weather in Rome. Was there on the weekend, and I can confirm sun was shining. Now, can you please move to the next slide? In order for this whole energy transition to work, we need staggering amount of monies. Finance is actually the key in this whole thing. 177 billion is a substantial envelope to be covered. But the good news is that actually the money and investors are there, but we just need to bring the right projects to them in the right format. And that is the key of launch. Can you please go to the next one? We had very interesting members around the table. Joule Assets, who was leading the whole thing. NEG, which is an Irish ESCO. TNO is a leading Dutch research organizations, ourselves, and BNP Paribas. And the main objective of our work was to create tradable financial products for investors in a standardized way, which then helps and facilitates deal closing, the growth of the market, and actually the attractivity of let's call it assets which are backed by green cash flows. Can you please go to the next one? So the first step of our whole process was to create an investor-grade energy performance contract, which we built in the English system and then transposed it to 8 different systems. The idea is that you've got sort of a standard piece which is applicable across various technologies. Then something which is a technology specific tool, and then various schedules which again are more or less standardized but can be moved around. Then we created a standardized risk assessment protocol, which is having all the ESGs, the various risks associated what investors are generally looking for. That all should help developers grow their pipeline, which is essential for investors. Last but not least, all of the standardization tools facilitate the securitization of the cash flows and then the selling to investors. Next slide, please. So what we are doing is we are showing to developers what actually investors are looking for. We are having 14 billion euros worth of investors sitting on our investee board, and they have all been part of creating this contract, which covers the needs of end client, the needs of the developer, the needs of what we call warehousing banks, because generally you need to get to a big transaction, you need to sort of have many banks in between co-finance these. The needs of the finance of securitization process, and last but not least, the ultimate investor who then buys these cash flows via a bond for long-term holding. All of these tools are available on our website and can be consulted by everybody. Can you please go to the next one? And now what we are doing is that we have been very lucky in securing a second grant by the EU. So whilst in the first one on the launch, we were more focusing on end investors, in Propel we are having a dual focus. One is assisting banks in assessing the various projects, because these are needed for, as I alluded earlier, in the warehousing of the transaction. And then the second element is that we are supposed to build, and we are already quite well progressing on the creation of a finance association, which will be based in Brussels and will collect various tools of EU programs which have been built up till now and develop them going forward. All of this with the objective of increasing the financeability of various energy saving projects. Next slide, please. So here is the CEFA association, which is one of the centerpieces of Propel. It's supported by the EIB, it's supported by many other EU initiatives. It's not for profit. We are very well engaged with the building sector already. We are speaking to a lot of funds who own real estate and who are actually looking of how to improve them, how to reduce operating costs, how to green them, how to make it actually more attractive. And we will be working together with a really big network of professionals who will be accredited and of financiers who are interested in entering into this stage. Next stage, next slide, please. Why is it attractive for you to join the association? Well, all the tools which the EU is building, you will find them and you will see them developed in various cycles from the members into more performant tools. It will help so it's going to help in two ways. On the one side, it is going to show the regulators what is needed. At the same time, it is going to show the contractors what is needed by the investors. It's a great base for networking, for learning from each other, and one of the findings which we're seeing very often, that actually funds who have got buildings are not able to find the right contractors to execute on time, on budget, and to a decent standard. Next slide, please. Well, this is all from us at launch. So if you need anything, we are here. happy to talk to all of you who have got needs in this arena. You've got all my details, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. So lastly, we will have the presentation of the project CTC. And for that, we'll be joined by Andrea Boggi, and he's here in Rome. I will introduce him, and then you will see him because we have to move the laptop a little bit. So Andrea is a senior researcher and project manager at Eurocrowd. He's responsible for the management and implementation of EU-funded projects in the fields of environment, sustainability, and energy transition. He is expert in European Union affairs and funding instruments, with an extensive expertise in research and innovation and energy policies, focusing on the upscaling energy efficiency solutions and energy finance. Let me move this.
Thank you very much, and nice to be here. So I will be quite quick in order to then open for the discussion and to also complement what's been said before from the citizen financing perspective. I'm here representing CTC, which is EU-funded projects to promote citizen finance in energy efficiency and to scale up investment combining citizen finance with public funding. So who is CTC? CTC is a coordination and support action funded by the European Commission for 3 years. We are currently in our second years, and it brings together 8 organizations from 5 different countries, namely Germany, Belgium, Lithuania, Croatia, and Portugal. And as I said, the aim is to support citizen investing. So why energy efficiency in particular? Because as we've been discussing so far, there is a need for finance. As been said before, it's roughly over 100 billion a year are needed for the energy efficiency investment. And although energy transition has been a hot topic for a few years so far, while on the energy renewable side, things have been moving along quite well. There's been several projects, in particular, CraftFundRes, one of the major ones that helps bring the topic up to speed, bringing together different actors that are needed. On the energy efficiency side, something is still missing. In particular, there's still the need to build the proper framework conditions to develop large-scale investment. There's a need to support these large-scale investments from the public authorities in particular. And last but not least, there's still lack of communication between the different actors involved. And in particular, citizens are not yet involved properly in this discussion. So what does CTC propose? CTC propose the creation of citizen financing schemes that use public funds. They're backed by public funds, but combines together with them citizen financing with crowdfunding and cooperatives in the creation of an investment platform to support energy efficiency investment. The aim of this is to create a proper environment for this investment, to attract additional investments from investors that are normally excluded from the traditional and institutional framework, create a more efficient use of public fund, combining with a more open and transparent way to integrate citizen financing. And then, of course, raise awareness and then create an enabler system for and higher renovation rates of the buildings. So how we're going to do this? We're going to do this with 3 main steps. The first one is to create an investment platform. We analyze the market situation in the different pilot countries in order to identify the best conditions and the legal framework to create regional or national investment platforms that are backed by public funding, mostly by European funds, meaning European strategic funds, InvestEU now, there's coming structural funds, and so on and so forth. The second step would be to integrate this investment platform with citizen financing. That can be done at different level, whether the platform level to contribute to the general funding, at an intermediary, in particular through the cooperative framework, or at project level, so the normal financing of the project with co-financing from the investment platform and then crowdfunding or a cooperative. And then, of course, the last step is to enable all of this by setting up large-scale communities for this, setting up the demonstrators, and creating the knowledge base for these investments. So what we did so far during the project, we identified the different investment solutions that can be adopted for the different conditions, the market gaps that can be found in different countries, and also different contractual situation that could be preferable for the different projects. We identified so far 8 different structures that can then be combined with the different public funding for the investment platform and then combined with citizen financing. In terms of citizen financing, what we see, as I mentioned, they can be combined in 2 different levels. One is at the investment platforms, which would mean a collaboration between the public authorities and citizen financing structure with a cooperative, or with a match funding approach with crowdfunding, to create the pool of finance that we then going to be used to finance the projects that are going to be identified. As an intermediary, as I said, which means essentially that once the platform is being created with the public funds, then part of this fund can be delegated to a cooperative or to a crowdfunding campaign to then launch specific, coordinate to launch and finance specific projects at different levels. And then finally, as I mentioned, the more standard project financing, where a project gets financed by the platform with the backing of the public funds, and then within the project level, an open call is launched for either crowdfund or for a cooperative to join or manage even the project in terms of from the cooperative itself or in an ESCO form. So far, what we did is to have launched 4 pilots in the different countries. The first one was in Portugal, which is managed by GoParity, which is a crowdfunding platform. It's the only case. All the others are instead managed by agencies, regional or national agencies. And in Portugal, the idea is to create an investment platform for both energy efficiency and renewable energy investments that then will focus on public and private buildings with crowdfunding as a source of co-finance at project level mostly. Although there are the cooperative is at the moment negotiating with the national authorities to see whether also the option of co-investing at the platform level is available. The second one is in Belgium by VAB. They are also trying to develop investment platform for deep retrofitting projects with EPCs. They are still in the negotiation phase on the actual contracting format they want to do this, depending on the partner authorities they will bring on board. The idea for them is mostly to work with cooperatives to co-finance at project level with the possibility to use the ESCO forms. Third case is from Lithuania, which is actually the one that's most advanced among them all, from VIPA. They already established an investment platform with the support of the national funds and the European Investment Bank. And they are now in the process of negotiating and funding a crowdfunding platform to co-finance the investments, in particular at project level, but also as an intermediary then in the negotiation at the moment to see which solution is going to work best. Could be probably both of them at different levels. And last but not least, in Croatia, REGEA, which is a regional energy agency, They're also developing an investment platform for solar PV investment in buildings and public buildings. And what they're doing in particular, they're trying to work with cooperatives and crowdfunding at the same time at project level mostly. So now there have been some setbacks due to COVID and also the recent earthquake that was in Croatia last year, which brought up some changes in the legislation and the way some of the public funds they wanted to integrate are managed and distributed. But now they're again in negotiation with authorities to see exactly which form is best for them. And the aim for them is to set up the investment platform by next year in order to then start to go on with the financing. And then all of these, in terms of the projects, will then contribute to the development of a toolkit that will develop next year, which will serve to not only demystify a little bit these type of investments in the sense of to provide information to both public authorities and citizens what is an investment platform, how to create one, how to select the proper financial solutions, and in particular, how to integrate all of this with citizen investing. And in particular, we will try to integrate in the toolkit, of course, the lesson learned by the pilots, not only in terms of success, also in the difficulties they encountered in working with the public authorities, in working in situations where, like COVID, financing from the public side in particular was more difficult to access, and in particular, how to coordinate all the different types of contracting that are going to be needed in the management then of the calls for the energy efficiency innovations. So this is the status of the project so far. As I mentioned, we are in the second year, near the end of the second year, and next year we will launch hopefully all the different platforms with the aim to launch at least some investment with some results by the end of the projects. And if you want to know more, of course, and all the reports and technical sides on how to proceed, you can visit our website and reach out to the social media. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. So we will start now the discussion panel. For that, we have thought of some topics of discussion, but before doing that, I wanted just to encourage everyone here in the room, but also in the virtual room, to let us know any questions you may have in the Q&A part of this session. But also because we have limited time and maybe we will not have, the speakers won't have enough time to answer your questions, I just wanted to inform you that there is the option to directly connect with the people that are present in this session and in general in every other session. So if you click in the people screen there, you can see everyone that is present now. And if you want to ask a specific question or to collaborate or follow up with any of the speakers present today, you can schedule a meeting with them. Okay, so take advantage of that option as well. Okay, so we will start the discussion. And the first topic that I wanted to raise for all the projects involved here is how are you doing this match or this connection between project developers and financiers, right? Because at the end of the day, these are the main stakeholders that we want to really connect, and it's sometimes difficult to do this. So how your projects have tackled this, which solutions have you arrived to, maybe with your methodologies or your tools. And I also wanted to raise two of the barriers or obstacles that I see between these connection, that are, on the one hand, how to build trust from the financing side in financing these projects. And the other barrier that I encounter in this match is how to translate the technical language of these projects into some user-friendly values. So I don't know who wants to start.
Well, if I may, I'm coming, as you're talking to financiers and investors, I think that we are pretty well positioned for this. First answer is, don't waste investors' times. So one of the big problem is that a lot of projects don't have pipeline size, they are not well developed, and as such, investors just haven't got the time of really spending and educating the contractor in what they need. Hence, the tools which we've built within Launch are very helpful, and if people take the time and understand what investors are looking for, then it's very, very easy to talk investors, because their problem actually is that they are sitting on a lot of money, but they haven't got the right projects to invest in. So it is something which it's a problem on both sides. The technical problems, I would say, are not as big, because the fund managers or the bankers sitting in the green departments are pretty savvy on the technology side. The main issue here again is pipeline size, visibility, and transparency. So if investors only get, or bankers get only half of the equation, they don't like to reopen files. So you need to come with a complete file, and then you will be lucky with your investors as well.
Thank you. Yes, Christian?
I don't know if you can hear me because the graphic is a bit stuck,
Yes,
but
we can hear
I will
you.
try. Just to comment, yeah, I also Invest project is on the same as the same is on the same line, and in particular the answer that we give to this is indeed to avoid time waste, and that's why we provide, for example, a report with financial indexes and technical aspects already translated into financial form, so that you can only take these indexes and fit them into the workflow. So basically, during the project, and by interview to banks and financial players, we are finding the best way to provide this information, just paying one time this time to understand things, and then the platform should automatically provide the final report with all these indexes. So it's an answer to this same problem. I think we also also when approaching investors, it's very difficult to book some of their time, but we could do this in part. Answering to the main question from you, Tatiana, in the Invest project, we are providing and only one tool basically. So it's a search and match platform where the investor can create its own portfolio, and based on the risk profile that has in mind, and has nothing to do at that time with the building developer. So basically, the building developer did all the inputs and applied for all computation for the platform before, and then the conditions are kind of freezed by into the final report. So this also is well, it is like a showcase, because we cannot think that someone from banks or these maybe investment funds are going into really into a platform, finding one by one this specific project. But the first step is to showcase that the approach can work and can save a lot of time. And then, of course, the same methodologies could be applied directly into specific institution workflow, for example. This also has other issues, but anyway, can be done. And we also, it is also to mention the range of investment that our projects are targeting. In the invest case, we target project below 2 million euro. That means that there is no due diligence to be run. Basically, it's something that it's where the time for the investor is getting much more importance, I would say, because the investment is not so big. To increase the trust, we use this blockchain mechanism that is not on the investor side or neither on the building developer side. So it's a mechanism which lives alone and provide trust into the exchange information. We think that this can be a good starting point for next transaction.
Thank you very much, Christian. I think, Philippos, you wanted to say something?
Yes, yes. So from the AAA perspective, our main goal to bring together investors with project developers is the development of the AAA tools, which has been based on the AAA methodology. And we try to build a common language by using these tools, by including a benchmarking procedure of the projects, deploying a sophisticated risk methodology and a multi-criteria method. But all of these methodologies are integrated in the tool without frustrating investors, but without frustrating investors with complicated procedures. So the AAA risk assessment identifies the most prominent risks of energy efficiency investments, but the tool it's designed to be used with the user's minimum project input and effort, and all of the benchmarking procedures and the risk assessment, it's incorporated in a user-friendly environment, so as not to make life harder and to waste time for investors, but also for project developers. Additionally, we have tried to automate the tools to calculate the risk and the benchmarking of these projects most automatically as it could be possible. And also we try to create a standardized benchmarking based on predefined categories. So the projects can be easily spotted by potential investors, enabling them to identify the most feasible energy efficiency projects. Based on the benchmarking, we have three classes. The first class is the AAA project class, that the projects that are very strong, they have a strong capacity to meet their commitments in energy savings and also in monetary savings are classified. Then we have some projects that are like they're reserved. They're not the best ones, but they're not actually bad. They're like average projects. And also we have some projects that are rejected. Based on that methodology, we try to boost the very good ones to investors without complexing them with technical parameters, but calculating for them key performance indicators such as the net present value, the internal rate of return, and other indicators automatically, and provide a report of the project to them so they can easily spot which project and facilitate them in the decision-making procedure. All the questions, the risk assessment questions, are simple with linguistic variables that are connected with them. And also they facilitate the interactivity and enable the tools to automatically quantify the risk. Finally, the biggest step and the biggest success of the AAA project is the creation of the AAA Assign tool, which is a multidimensional platform that all the benchmark projects are included, and investors can enter and search for projects using filtering criteria, and they can directly send requests to project developers of financing schemes, and also they can browse existing energy efficiency options and aggregate projects to create portfolios.
Thank you. Would you like to add something, Andrea?
Yeah, just very quickly, just to add the fact that one of the main issues in terms of the financing of energy efficiency projects in general, in particular from the side of citizen investors, but also in part from public investors, is the fact there is lack of knowledge and understanding sometimes on the technicalities of these projects, still quite surprising even from the public side. And what we have been discussing so far, the issue of trust. These projects, particularly energy efficiency projects, are still perceived as very risky because there's a bit of lack of knowledge and understanding in terms of what they produce and the return of investments. So all the solution proposed by the project we listened are more than welcome, because everything that's reduced the risk perception or help identify and classify the risk in an understandable way, it's more than welcome, because it's what's blocking, in particular, the large part of non-traditional investors to be part of this process. And since we need all the funds, that is something that we need to keep in mind to make things to reduce the level of perceived risk and make it easier for people to understand when we talk about EPC contracting, when we talk about return of interest, holding periods. Not everybody as savvy as financial institutions, and even on the public authority side, there's a deep lack of understanding of some of these terms.
Sergio, would you like to say?
Yes, I would like to highlight the role of data in this kind of risk reduction activities. I mean that typically garbage in, garbage out. So the problem is that often methodologies and tools are really sophisticated, but the inputs are not always of a quality that is capable of making the tool expressing their potential. What is really important is that the way the buildings are going to be built today, especially when old buildings are retrofitted and are made smart. Typically, the process of building renovation is based on the electrification of the thermal loads. That is, instead using gas, you can use electricity produced by photovoltaic associated with heat pumps. Clearly, you have to make the envelope more efficient. And practically speaking, you need a smart system, typically a building management system, capable of monitoring what happens. So practically, also the quality of the investment that is typically related to EPC contracts, because, for example, the buildings we are retrofitting in Italy, they start, let's say they pay 100, and at the after the retrofitting they pay 30, so they have a 50% reduction of the costs, but everything is monitored. So also the quality of the process is related to the availability of data that are used to make the system work technically. So data are not just search and obtained via surveys, via analysis, one-shot analysis, but we can really rely upon a complete set of data that are intrinsically part of the process of the building management. So from this point of view, I think that also financials can increase their trust, because it is now possible to really measure and monitor what happens after the actions. So this is capable of reducing the level of risk and typically of making it measurable. And this is a relevant factor for the reduction of the gap between desired and real performance of the buildings.
Thank you very much, and an excellent link between the first 2 points of discussion. So as Sergio was already talking about data and KPIs, when I wrote this topic, I wanted to know how you have find the appropriate data to feed your solutions, whether they are tools, etc., and also how you choose or you decide on the relevant key performance indicators for the methodologies that you are developing in your projects, because we have found that those two are some of the main difficulties that we have, and that are crucial to provide strong solutions to really de-risk these investments. So if you have found a very fine solution, it would be very nice to know how you tackle the issue of finding the appropriate data, because as we know, normally the data that we can find in this project are incomplete, etc. So I open the floor for the speakers.
Maybe I can start for the investor. We mainly interviewed, well, for the technical part, we relied on knowledge and experience from by some of the partners, but almost immediately we had to go for interviews to manufacturers and facility managers to know which could be the range of impacts and occurrence frequency for main kind of issues that may happen and may affect finally the performance gap and the damage, that are the two KPIs that we have from the technical side. About the financial side and the model, we rely on a model based on experiences from our partner and their internal know-how. weather data or similar things are more or less available, so we did not find major issues there. What I think also is that it would be interesting to apply the method and check the results ex ante and ex post from the financial side to see if the methodology are working well on the long term. This cannot be done in a project like this, but that would be a very interesting point to my opinion.
Yes, for sure. Somebody else would like to intervene on this issue?
Can I start?
Of course.
Regarding the AAA. So because of the problem with data and how to fit the tools in the conceptualization phase of the AAA project, we have included stakeholder consultation activities. So a significant proportion of the AAA project activities has been focused on developing a pipeline of attractive energy efficiency projects so as to fill in the gap between the market and the final financial assessment. A pool of investment has been created with the contribution of the AAA partners, including big European banks such as the Dutch ABN AMRO and the Greek Piraeus Bank, and as well as energy efficiency development companies such as the Spanish Creara and the Lithuanian RIPA. From these procedures, more than 100 energy efficiency projects have been gathered so as to provide a variety of options to facilitate its investment body to choose the technology and the relevant risk level according to the strategy and rules. The project that we have collected within the AAA activities are real project ideas that they are in the conceptualization phase, and they are also in search of possible financing schemes so as to proceed these projects and assist them to find financing and proceed to the development phase. So currently we have 113 projects that we have collected, 20 projects from Bulgaria, 13 from Czech Republic, 17 from Germany, and 24 from Greece, 4 from Italy, and 14 from Lithuania, and 15 from the Netherlands, and 6 from Spain. Also, we have, of course, we have faced problems such as privacy issues regarding project developers to provide the data. And also, it was not easy to encourage and support and make the investors and project developers to trust to give the data. Also, regarding the KPIs, within the stakeholder consultation, we have put the first priority, we have put the actual market involving, while creating the AAA methodology, involving investors and project developers through bilateral meetings, through questionnaires that we have disseminated to them. And we put the maximum effort to involvement in the methodology development. Also, after the development of the KPIs and the thresholds and the benchmarking results, we have proceed to demonstrations and testing by stakeholders in bilateral meetings and also in webinars. Speaking in numbers, we have more than 120 users in the AAA tools until now, and when we have received valuable feedback on the tool functionalities, methodology, and on the KPIs. Also, 198 stakeholders have responded to the AAA questionnaires, and the site of the AAA tools have been visited by around 700 unique users. Also, the tools, in order to ensure that we provide something valuable and meaningful to the project developers and to the financial community, we have included also data from other databases, such as the EFIC DIP 2.0 platform, with which the AAA tours are interconnected, and thresholds and statistic data are automatically included in the benchmarking procedures of the AAA tools.
Thank you, Philippos. Would you like to add something?
On
Not
my
obliged,
side,
don't worry.
I mean, our project is a credential support action in terms of KPI. It's a little bit different and more limited. On our side, the main indicators we're looking for is the number of the platform, investment platform we will set up in the pilots. And in the long term, beyond the projects, the number of projects they will be able to finance. So in that sense, the numbers, they're not there yet. Aside from the 4 pilots that we know we will do. I can add the fact that in terms of financing, on one side, it's easier to identify KPIs because you go for the amount of money you raise, the number of projects. The problem starts to probably be when you start to try to measure the return of this investment in terms of the energy savings, the energy produced, etc., because then you start to get into the problem of accuracy of data, privacy, whether or not they want to provide this kind of information if you're dealing with private buildings and such. But this is a bit more down the pipeline compared to what the project itself does. But this is also relates again from discussion we did before in terms of making clarity about this investment, about what the return is in terms of the energy efficiency, energy produced, and so on and so forth for the investors. And these are KPIs that needs to be clarified and from the start, from the project developers when they start to ask money for their projects. So in that sense, KPIs are essential across the board, in our sense, more transversal.
I don't know if any of the virtual speakers would like to add something. Okay, if not, we can move to the third topic for today. So my idea here is to more or less get to know a little bit more from the business model side, let's say, which are the types of results that you are developing within your projects. So if they are more of a final product or a service, a platform, an online platform, how do you handle that? And I would also like to know, after hearing all the presentations, and plus we have been working for this workshop for the previous 2 or 3 months. So I think we already know more or less what our projects entail. So how have you seen the possible interconnections among our projects in terms of providing complementary solutions to really decrease the risk of investment in energy efficiency?
Maybe I can start then.
Perfect.
Just again, we covered more or less a little bit already all of these in terms of results from the CTC projects. We will gonna develop, of course, all the reports and roadmaps of how to establish the different investment platforms, how to combine the citizen financing in those investment platforms. But most of all, what we will do is provide capacity building solutions, and which the toolkit is part of it, plus webinars and dedicated guidelines on how to navigate this integrated system for both citizens, developers, and public authorities, in order to try to make sure that everybody's on the same page on these type of topics, on how to create and scale up these kind of investments with different funding solutions. In terms of the interconnection, I think I already mentioned that is the fact that all the other solutions developed, all the tools developed by the other projects, from what we learned today, they are an essential part of this framework because they will provide all different aspects that can enable investors and project developers to clarify the information that then can roll down to the investment side per se, making people wanting to invest more, understanding more the investment they want to do, and understanding that all that's involved in terms of returns, data, and energy. In that sense, I think there's quite a good areas, and all the project acts on different levels in this sense. And for us on CTC, kind of is the bigger infrastructure where all this kind of investment and solution can then be applied and used to just ease the situation and help scale up these investments.
And are the consortium partners of CTC looking to provide some type of services from the results of the project?
Of course, the pilot partners by default, we will work once they establish the investment platform. We'll work to replicate the solution they developed. So either we still within the framework of these investment platforms, finding other pilots, specific buildings where to replicate and apply the investments. But they will build their knowledge in terms of then how to explain to others how they can replicate, in particular to other public authorities, how this can be set up, and what are in particular the gaps and hurdles that needs to be considered when planning an investment platform, when planning an energy efficient investment to scale up the solutions. Because from what we saw, that's the key part. A lot of this is not done because there are risks involved and people don't know what those risks are. With CTC, we are seeing what those problems might be from the public authorities point of view, from the citizen finance point of view, and each partner in their reality, in their context, will develop these skills in order to replicate the solution.
Maybe Sergio would like to say something, I think.
I think that each project represents a valuable content that whose value can be further increased if we integrate and cluster the capacities. So, in my opinion, we should ask the Commission to organize a workshop of all these projects, for example, sharing one day and trying to understand a common frame capable of exploiting the potential and integrating the outcome in a way that can be usable for a baseline, also for further proposals.
Yes, that is a good idea, but in any case, I'm happy that we have already created this cluster, and we have started organizing among ourselves this activity, and well, Invest has had in the past also with launch and with AAA some other workshops. So I hope that after this conference we continue the collaboration, and hopefully there will come some ideas for new projects as well.
Okay.
Filipos, yes.
Hello. So yes, regarding the results of the AAA project, I can summarize because I have already mentioned, but we have created a concrete rating system with links with certification schemes. We have developed the standardized AAA tools and the AAA database on energy efficiency financing, and targeted policy actions on leveraging private funding for energy efficiency. So the tools are online, are there. Also, we will create a synthesis paper. We have performed capacity building webinars. So we try to address the energy efficiency gap problem in many ways, providing the tools, but also creating the capacity for these tools to be exploited and used by real market actors. Also, within AAA projects finalizations, we will perform a European roadshow that we will um, organize meetings with project developers, investors, energy efficiency companies, that the tools will be demonstrated online and live to them, depending whether the roadshow will be hybrid or online. And we will try to promote European priorities and targeted policy actions so as to achieve the AAA project goals. We always are in the AAA project very open to creating synergies and to creating interoperability with other tools and other databases and other also methodologies. So joint forces with other H2020 projects could be realized. For example, we could rate same projects with different tools so as to analyze the different results and evaluate its methodology and extract lessons learned. We can create a synthesis paper with mitigation strategies and tips how to improve the performance of candidate energy efficiency projects. And also we can use data in order to fine-tune all the benchmarking methodologies and create a harmonized framework, which is really important. Harmonization and standardization, it's really important for investors, and it's a very good way to build trust. um, Also, another idea would be to cooperate and broaden the coverage of our tools, not only the AAA tools, all tools, to other countries. For example, AAA covers 8 countries, Invest covers another number of countries. We can merge this and exchange data in order to make our tools more potent, more strong, and achieve better results.
Yeah, I totally agree. Christian?
Yeah, my comment on this is about the cooperation. I think we should try to mainstream a bit these findings from our projects. Also because, well, we are not meeting too much the goals for the environment, I would say. And so I think that as before was mentioned, the building developers are always seeking for investors. On the other side, investors have money to spend and cannot reach the developer in the current way. And so we are a bit in this in between, and we should try to reach out as much. Well, try to link them together in a correct way. What we could do is, for example, cooperate in finding a kind of suggest some workflow, suggest some improvement, or try to meet them and provide some information, or try to find a bit more, which investigate a bit more the barrier that they have, and provide some solution among the tools that we already developed.
Well, then I think we have some homework to do. But I agree, and that is something that we have discussed our projects internally before, that we want to really produce something of value, no? And I hope that after this we can continue the collaboration and maybe create that material as well as a dissemination of our project's results combined. That would be very nice. Lastly, Chava, if you want to add something to conclude the discussion panel.
Well, thank you very much. Well, I think that we have been, all of us, a bit unlucky due to COVID. I mean, I'm personally sitting on the advisory board of AAA, and I was in their offices when Greece closed down 2 years ago. I haven't been back to Athens, so I think that we need to be a little bit how do you say it, gentle with ourselves, and maybe if we haven't achieved something, it's not because we are incapable, but there was a health scare running around and still is. At the same time, I believe that one of the things which we all need to look at, and as I'm sitting here and listening to everybody who clearly is more technical than I'm, because I'm coming from the banking side, this is not an exciting subject. So if we want to bring investors into this, we need to sort of, and sorry for the expression, sex it up and make it more interesting so that investors engage with us. Because if we only give them data and this tool and that tool, that's not going to cut their or raise their attention. So we should all try to get together, as Sergio mentioned earlier. And if the EU is not paying, I'm happy. I'm happy or not happy for that. But if we really want to do something, then we should try to bring our tools together, see where we've got overlap, how we can integrate them, because 27,000 tools will not solve the problem of global warming and of us needing to reduce our CO2 emissions.
Thank you very much, Chava.
I totally agree. And I remember that when we met with Mr. Xaba in Athens, and the COVID was in front of us, it was the last meetings that we could realize, and I would be more than happy, because we had also exchanged inputs for the launch program, the launch project, and for the AAA project, and we had very valuable and fruitful discussions. So I would be more than happy in order to continue this communication and do a bilateral meeting, for example, in order to see how we could harmonize all these tools, or at least the launch and the AAA tools, and creating their connections.
Just tell me when there's a good cafe daki where we can go together, and I'm in Athens. Count me in.
Maybe you can invite us all to meet there next time.
It's a great place.
Well, with this, I will end the session because we have already surpassed some minutes, but in any case, it was worth it. I think the discussion was very interesting, and I want to thank you all for being here, all the speakers, as well as the audience, and stay tuned for the presentations of this workshop, and also for the proceedings paper that we will be publishing with the summary of this event. And as I said before, if you want to contact someone, you can do it via the Hopping platform, or later on with the contact details, you can just enter as well the website of all these projects. So thank you very much, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.